So as you all know, I've all but dropped this series. Not necessarily the video format, but in particular just the series itself. However, High School of the Dead, as much as I love it for all the wrong reasons, it just isn't the easiest anime to dissect in a meaningful way. However, your boy has had video essay after video essay to practice, refine my researching skills, and even get moderately better at crafting a narrative with my supreme technical skills, so I will attempt to finish the first video retrospective series that I started on the channel, and I just hope you guys end up enjoying it. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll get right into this. Episode 3 is where we last left off in our party's quest to find safety, kill zombies, and find that fabled One Piece. Now, look, I know it's been a minute since I last updated the series, but let me just say I could not be more stoked to pick up exactly where we left off. Episode 4 immediately opens with some bullshit. This random ass military fighter jet decides to get on his stalker shit and start taking aerial pictures of T-Money and Ray as they drive their dinky ass crotch rocket into the city. No explanation, it just drive-bys their ass, and that's how the episode opens. A few minutes later, we get yet another T-Money monologue. I swear if I had a rune for every time this nigga started monologuing on how much his life sucked before the zombies, your boy would be Elden Lord already. Anyway, he goes on to say that on the day of the attack, he was contemplating how pathetic he was and that the apocalypse fucked up his life. Like bro, the apocalypse fucked everybody's lives up. Also, we don't need another 5 minutes out of a 20-minute episode just being strictly dedicated to yo bitch ass deciding to sulk some more. Get like my guy Majima. Nigga got tortured for a year straight and you're over here crying because Ray left you for a real one. Yo, but shout out to Hisashi. After a few more minutes of T-Money talking about how he got to murder his main op Hisashi and how he used to think high school was hell even before the dead fools were out here walking around, we're finally done with the obligatory flashback sequence that happens literally every episode and are met with the two goons overlooking some zombies in the dead of night. Now, I don't know about you guys, but going to a city during a zombie apocalypse would literally be my last priority. If anything, I'm calling the goons and we're leaving and never coming back. To my previous point, these motherfuckers start arguing, which causes a flock, horde, pod, look, whatever you call a group of goddamn zombies. Their arguing causes this horde to waltz up and start pressing them, the argument taking place all because T-Money is a hopeless ass individual. The second Ray begins voicing hope that there may be survivors, T-Money immediately shoots her down and we're reminded why this nigga got dumped to begin with. He's just not a fun dude to be around, guys. Now, after getting a flashback sequence from episode 3, Takagi starts reaming my boy Hirano all because his stomach growled, basically body shaming him and calling him disgusting because his body's biological needs haven't been met. Now, look, I'm only going to say this once for all you judgmental or even sarcastic motherfuckers out there. If it's not your body, it's not your business. If you're a teen and you lack the social awareness to not make fun of people or to be judgmental, just check yourself at the door. And if you're an adult and you still actively persecute people because of their shape or size or how they live their lives, then you probably just shouldn't be on my channel. I'm not a white knight, but there's just a basic level of respect everyone should be given unless proven otherwise, and that's typically how I live my life. Anyway, it's at this point that Shido, the creepy teacher from the last episode, starts cringingly comforting a pair of girls on the bus after they witness a nigga get blasted by the boys in blue. Now, when I say I've never seen a better Orochimaru ripoff than this man right here, let's just say that the way he slid into action is probably the same way that he tries sliding into DMs. Okay, so my goofy ass thought the flashback sequences were done at this point. I mean, 10 minutes into the episode, one would assume that they'd be done recapping the audience. Psych, nigga. For those of you who are going into visual mediums as a form of entertainment for others, don't do this. It's bad and frustrating, and we have all seen enough of the previous episodes to know what the fuck is going on. Anyway, we cut back to the present day and are met with some fire-ass opera singing, which I will not play on YouTube because they are just waiting to copyright strike my ass. It's during this scene, however, that we get to take a break from the zombie moida and take in all the carnage and somber beauty of the world that these characters now operate within. It's just for a second that you're pulled from the zany reality that is this anime and the big titty nonsense that it induces, and there's a little hint of brilliant calm that washes over you. I was actually kind of surprised. That is until this bitch Ray starts talking. So the homies bend the block only to see that the Wizlows are hanging out watching the corner. And after a few really bad jokes from T-Money, the two finally decide to approach that same cruiser that the Wizlows are hanging out in. Let's just say that that hoe got absolutely wrecked, yo. Even if the cops weren't dead, they weren't making it out of that wreckage alive, which is exactly why T-Money tells Ray not to get closer to the cruiser. There could be a gas leak or zombies just hanging out of sight. And this hoe literally has the audacity to tell him to man up, it's the Armageddon, quote for quote. Like, my nigga, just because there are zombies roaming the streets, that don't mean I'm cool looting dead bodies, nor does it change the fact that gasoline is highly flammable and you're moving around a car wreckage site. After looting a gun off the corpses of one of the dead cops, we get to the scene that we've all been waiting for. The scene begins with T-Money realizing that for them to fill their bike up with gas, they're gonna need some Skrilla, some coins, some goddamn dead presidents, I tell you, since the pump is self-service. Ray comments on how T-Money is a broke-ass bitch, which immediately sends him over the edge, as it would anyone. Homie lets his insecurities rise about not being as good as Hisashi, and Ray hasn't even mentioned Hisashi, so he just brings this up out of nowhere, and we realize that T-Money just isn't as confident as he lets on. This is when he begins making his way into the gas station itself to try to find a few bucks for the pump, and we also begin getting these really odd shots of Ray, almost as if she's being watched. Now, under normal circumstances, I would be fully invested in this next scene. The stalker walks up, inevitably gets his ass kicked, and we move on. The problem is the fact that they hired the least intimidating voice actor to portray this motherfucker. Not to mention the fact that this bitch is wearing a do-rag, a weed chain, and has braces. Like, if I knew Steve Urkel was gonna be in this anime, I would have watched it a lot sooner, yo. Anyway, Gangsta Steve begins to monologue on how he lost his parents and had to kill all of his family members, as he aggressively gropes Ray's badongaloos and immediately punks out Takashi, who at this point puts up no fight for his girl and begins pumping gas so this motherfucker Gangsta Steve can steal his bike and take Ray with him. Now, I understand, guys, that trying to fight this man while he's got your girl probably isn't the best idea, but my nigga, do something, hit an anime special move or something, dog. I obviously can't show it, but the way this man was groping Shorty's tatas, I would have immediately turned Super Saiyan on this fool. And that's exactly what T-Money does. He closes the distance, pulls back the hammer, and point blank holds the pea shooter against GS's shoulder before firing. At that moment exclaiming that he'd much rather die in an explosion from the gas than let some random punk ass bitch take his girl, who still technically isn't his girl, but I digress. Regardless, the shit was fire, and as the two drive away, they leave Gangsta Steve to deal with the horde of cold bodies that are shambling towards the gas station. Now, look guys, it's been a minute since I've thought about this anime, so coming back to it on such an eventful episode was actually pretty nice. I think at this point in the show's run, we're beginning to see the insecurities that plague T-Money and a couple others of the cast, but mostly him, and how I guess me as the shitty 14-year-old could relate to someone who is equally shitty and young, basically. But, you know, that being what drew me to the character, it's the idea that not all heroes are good guys and that the main character can be just as flawed as I am. In this case, a lot more, because let me tell you, this dude T-Money, he's got some shit going on. Now, as far as the progression of what little plot there is, I probably, like most of you that have watched this episode, think that it was really lackluster. The idea that you can pan out 70% of an episode by adding clips of previous episodes baffles me. And moving forward, I really hope that the writing tightens up just a little bit, considering I have to somehow keep this shit entertaining for you fiends as well, you know what I mean? Like, you know, if the episode isn't entertaining, it's hard for me to still keep it entertaining without just like cursing the whole video and saying dumb shit the whole time. That's not fun for anyone. But I digress. So as the video concludes, I'm definitely going to get ready to boot up the next one, but between figuring out the schedule for this Mafia Let's Play that I'm going to get started soon and trying to murder my emotional state by playing Elden Ring nonstop, I have a lot in store for you guys. And listen, as long as you guys are liking, commenting, and subscribing, I'm going to keep putting out that content. One, it's free and it really helps the channel grow, which I do appreciate, even if I don't say it all the time. But aside from that, I just love you guys, and Hopefully, I'll see you all in the next King's Retelling. Peace. You boys too good at this, you know what I mean?